Hello and welcome to another video from Parallelogram, and this time we're going to be concluding the tutorial series about sockets with looking at Java on Windows and on Android. Before we get into this video, I would like to tell you about a second channel which is a collaboration with some other people. On there you'll find information and updates about our various projects. I'll leave a link in the description so you can go and check that out. As with before, we're quickly going to do a recap of the server program, which should look something like this. So at the top we have the imports. We use the socket library to actually host the server, the GPIO library to turn on the LED, and the time library to utilize sleep. We set up the server here. Then we define the port number that the server will be hosted on, before then defining the max amount of connections it can handle. We then get the IP or host name of the server so we know where to connect to. Then we start the server so the connection can happen. Then when the client makes a request, it will accept it on this line. And then we have the running variable, which just makes sure that we can kill the while running loop if we wish. Then we set up the GPIO so we can control the little indicator LED. Finally, in this while loop, we read the message and print it out to the console, and then we turn on the LED. So now we're going to move on to the Windows client side, and for this I'm going to be using a program called Eclipse. So I'm just going to open that up now and set the workspace. When it loads, you'll be presented with a window that looks something like this. Now what we're going to need to do is make a new project, and we can do that by going File, New, and then Java Project. We can give it a name like Socket Client and go to Next. Check all the folders are in the right location and press Finish. Then we can go to the Project Explorer, press on Socket Client, and then close the welcome screen. From here we can create a new class, and I'm going to call this one Sockets. And make sure you tick the public static void main string args checkbox and press Finish. Once you have a screen that looks something like this, we're ready to get into the code. The first thing we're going to want to do is to import some libraries. And the first one we need is java.io.io exception. Like that. Oh, don't forget the semicolon. We also need to import java.io.print writer. We also need import java.net.socket, and then the final thing we need is java.net.unknown host exception. So the next thing we need is some variables. So we're going to do static socket, and I'm going to call it S. We also need static print writer, and I'm going to call that PW. Now we've finished that little bit of setup, we're ready to write the code which will actually send the message to the server. Now I'm just going to delete this auto-generated line here, and we're going to write try, open brackets, and then we need to do s equals new socket, open brackets, open quotes. Here we can put your host name or IP address of your device. I'm doing tutorials pi because that's the host name. And then you need the port number of your server. I set mine to 8000. The next thing we need is to set up the print writer. So we do pw equals new print writer, open brackets, s.get output stream, open bracket, close bracket, and then don't forget to close it with a semicolon. Next we need to do pw.write, open quotes, and this is the message we're going to send. So I'm just going to send hello world, and then we're going to do pw.flush to send the message across, and then we want to close the things we've been using by doing pw.close and s.close. Next we want to add the catch clause to our try statement, so we write catch, open brackets, unknown host exception, and then space e, and we want to open curly brackets. Then we want to write system.out.print line, open brackets, I'm just going to make it say fail, and then we want to do e.print stack trace just for debug purposes in case there is any errors. Get rid of that. Then we want to add our second catch clause, which is catch IO exception, and then we put space E again and open our curly brackets, and here we're going to put system.out.print line again, and we're going to say fail, and then we're going to print the stack trace again for debug. Oops, there we go. Before we go any further, we're going to quickly run the server, and as before it will come up with the server started message. So let's go and run the client and see what happens. Now the server is running, we just need to save our code and press run, and you can see the program has run because the LED has lit up. So let's have a little look at the server. Now over here on the server you'll notice that this output window has just turned into one big white space, and the reason for that is it's just constantly printing out nothing. So if we scrolled right to the top here, you can just about see that there is the message we sent through, and this is very easy to fix. What we're going to do is in this loop here where it says if not message equals nothing, then we will turn the LED on. We're going to add an else statement, so if the message is nothing, it's going to close the server, and we're going to stop the program by setting running to false. Now we're just going to kill this program by going to Control C, and then we're going to run this again, and it says the server has started, and then this time if we run the code again you'll see the LED light up again, but if we go over to the server you'll see that instead of having the big white pile up of nothingness, we now have our message here, one paste of nothing, and then the code has terminated. So now we're moving on to the next part of this video, which is doing essentially the same thing, but instead of on Windows, we'll be doing it on Android. So I'm going to be using a program called Android Studio, which again is using the Java programming language, but it's in a different editor, and coincidentally this is the default Google editor. Now when this loads, it will come up with a screen like this, and we're going to press start a new Android Studio project, and I'm going to change this application name to Socket Client, and then we're going to keep the same company domain name, and I'm just going to change the location. Okay, that's good enough. And we're going to go to next. We can set what we want it to run on. Phone or tablet is good. Then we go to next, and we're going to select empty activity for now. Going to go leave it all this at defaults and press finish. So it should now be creating our project. There we go. I'm just going to wait for this to finish. Here we go. You will see this thing called mainActivity.java. Here's where we'll put all of our Java code, and if we go to activity main, here is where we can design the interface. So let's get started with that. So because this app is going to need a user interface, the first thing we're going to do is design how it will look. So we need to go to the Activity Main tab up here, and you should see a window which looks something like this. I'm just going to minimize the Project Explorer, and then we're going to delete the Hello World thing, and in its place we're going to put a plain text entry like that. Now we want to add some constraints to this, so we go constraint layout, and then we click on this again, and we do center horizontally and center vertically, and then we can drag this to where we want it, and then we go to our properties window and change the text. I'm writing message, and then we're going to close that, and then we want to do the same with a button, so we drag in a button, put it there, click on constraint layout, give it some constraints, there we go, put it there, and then we go to properties again, change this to say send, and close that. Now we've got all of our things in the right place, we're going to change the colour scheme of our app. So to do that, we need to bring back our Project Explorer here, and then we need to open the values folder and go to colors.xml. Now we want to get some nice hexadecimal colours to fill these spaces here. Personally, when I'm finding hexadecimal colours, I like to use this website called colorhex.com, and I like to just go to the random colours section and look through if there's any ones I like. So let's go with this one here, and then we can just copy that and go back to our app and put that in there like that, and then we can go back to the website, get some more random colours. Let's go with this one, put that in there, here we go, and put that in there. There we go. And now if we return to our activity main, you can see the colour scheme has changed dramatically. Now we've finished the design of our app, we're ready to move on to the programming behind it. So we need to go to the main activity.java window, and we want to, under this close curly brackets, we're going to write class send extends async task, open triangular brackets, void, comma, void, comma, void. And then we want to open some curly brackets. Now you'll see that async task is actually glowing red, and that's because we haven't imported it. But to save us typing that out, if we just hold Alt and press Enter, it will give us the option to import class, which will do it for us. The next thing we need to do is @override, and then it'll create this little routine thing here. We don't want that, so we're going to delete it, and instead we're going to write protected void do in background open brackets void ... params, and then we're going to open our curly brackets. Now in here we're just going to go back to our Eclipse where we wrote the Windows code, and we're just going to copy all of the try and catch loop, and we're going to put that in here. So you'll see there's a lot of problems here, but most of these are incredibly easy to fix. For socket, we can just hold Alt and press Enter, will give us the option to import it. Same for print writer, same for unknown host, and then the same for IO exception. There we go. And now we also need to deal with this problem with our variables, but that is equally easy to fix. We're just going to put up here and write socket s semicolon and print writer pw semicolon, and that will solve that problem. You'll also notice that this curly bracket at the bottom has a problem, and all we can do here is type return null, which tells the program that this thing we've just written won't return a value. Next thing we're going to do with this code we've just written is we're going to change the message to the text in this box here. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to go to the top of this class, and we're going to write public message, public string, message. There we go. And then we can just simply change this text here to the word message. There we go. Now we're going to move on to the final part of this code, which is just to actually run this code when we press the button and set the message variable to the text. So the way we're going to do that is, first of all, we need to do final edit text input text equals open brackets edit text find view by id r.id.edit text 3, and then close that with a semicolon. Now you'll see that edit text is glowing red, which means there is an error, and what we need to do is hold Alt and press Enter, which will give us the option to import class. So we do that, and you'll see it has imported the class for us. There we go. So the next thing is to do the same with button, so we can do final button clickable equals open brackets button find view by id open brackets r.id.button 3, and then we can do semicolon, and the Alt Enter for button again, so we can import class. There we go. Now we need to set up the onClick listener, so we do clickable dot set onClick listener, and we do new view dot onClick listener, and we do open bracket close bracket, and then we open our curly brackets, and you'll see it's complaining about view, so we can do Alt and Enter and import class. Then in here we want to do public void on click open brackets view v, and then we can open up our curly brackets. Then in here we want to put send code equals new send open bracket close bracket semicolon, and then we want to put message equals input text, and this will just set the message variable to the text in our input text box. So we're going to put input text dot get text dot toString, and we want to do that, and then we want to do send code dot execute, and then open bracket close bracket semicolon, and then at the bottom here we need to close this, since technically this whole section here is one line. Now, because we're using the Wi-Fi and internet capabilities on the device, we need to tell Android this. So the way we do that is we go into the manifests folder and we click on the Android manifest.xml. And in here we need to write 3 lines telling Android that we're going to be using the Wi-Fi and internet. So first one is open triangular brackets uses dash permission Android colon name equals open quotes Android dot permission dot internet, all in capitals, and then we do slash close triangular brackets, and then we need to do the same underneath. So I'm just going to copy and paste this for speed. There we go, like this, and we need to change internet to access network state. There we go, and then the final thing is access Wi-Fi state. Oops. There we go. And that will just tell Android that we want to use the Wi-Fi on the device, and then we won't come up with any errors. So that's all the essential stuff done, but before we download the app, I like to change the icon. So we go to new image asset and go to image and find our image here. There we go, this is mine. And I got this from a website called Icon Archive. I'll leave a link in the description to that because it's a really good website. So we go to none, then go to next, then we can go finish, and then do the same for the round version. There we go, image asset, IC launcher, score round, image, find our image, here it is, and then get rid of the background again, go to next, and go finish. And then if we have a look at them, there and there, those will look really good on our device. And now our app is complete, we can download it onto our device. And the way we do that is we press this green triangle up here, and it gives you two options to either use an AVD or an emulator, or a physical device connected via USB. So I'm doing the physical device option, so we press OK on that, and you'll see that it starts downloading our app right away. On our device, the app will have popped up, and you'll see the message box there in the middle and the button. So this app behaves just like any other Android app. It appears in the list, and we can move it around, place it on the home screen there, and then just launch it just like any other app. Now I've already restarted the server, so let's go ahead and send across the message. So let's send a message like hello Pi. Press that button there, and then we can press the send button, and you should see the LED light. And if we go and have a look at the server over here, you'll be able to see the message that we sent over here and the new connection made again, which tells us that the Pi actually connected. So thanks for watching this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Reminder that all the code from this video is on GitHub. I'll leave a link down in the description to that. And also, please check out my Auto Robotics channel, where you'll find lots more information about my current projects.